The Durant House tool collection is a representational collection rather than a presentational collection. By that I mean that this is a representation of the kind of tools that the people in this house would have and would use in this time period, so that we don't have 46 different axes or 46 different sides or something like that. We have one side, we have one axe of each particular kind, and this is the kind of tools that the families would have used in the time, in the 1840s and all the way up into the 1900s. The family had to survive out here on the prairie, and one of the things that they did is they had to do their own farming, they had to do their own gathering of wood for wood products, they had to do all sorts of their own work. In fact, when we get inside later, you'll see that they even did almost certainly did their own shoemaking and repair. We're going to start out over here with the first thing that the Durants would have had to do when they came to this part of the country, and that is that they would have had to chop down trees, first to clear the land, and then to build their house. This was the most important tool that someone would bring with them from the east. This is a double-bladed axe. And it's double-bladed for two reasons. One, possibly, is that it could be sharpened on both sides, which meant that you only had to sharpen it half the amount of time, and you could keep working constantly. And the other reason was that both of the blades could be sharpened differently. One of them could be sharpened for taking hardwood trees down, and the other one could be sharpened for lopping branches off. And the lopping side would be sharpened like a knife, and the chopping side would be sharpened like a chisel. So this is the double-edged axe, and these were in use in Europe all the way back into the 5th and 6th century. Unfortunately, many of them were used for fighting in those days. When they came to this country, they were used primarily for chopping down trees and for cutting up trees. And as a matter of fact, this tool was used right up until the 1860s and 1870s, when they started taking saws out into the woods. Once the tree was cut down, this next axe would come into use. This is a broad axe, and this is used for squaring off logs. It's used for squaring off logs and making beams out of them, or squaring off one side of a log so that you would have floor beams, known as puncheons. You could flatten one side of the beam, and if you look at this very carefully, you'll see that only one side of this axe is sharpened. The other side is flat. So this is a giant chisel rather than a knife. This is a chisel for cutting the edge of the wood flat. It also has an offset handle. I'm not sure you can see that, but the handle is offset so that when you're standing next to the log and chopping down, you don't bang your knuckles against the log. Once you have the log squared off, the next tool is this one. It's called an adze, A-D-Z-E. And this tool is used primarily for smoothing off a flat log, and it's used in a very dangerous way. You stand on the log, and you cut with this tool towards your toes, and it's razor sharp. This tool is razor sharp, and it's designed to take a very thin sliver off. As a matter of fact, there's some legend that in the shipyards on the East Coast, when the ship carpenters would come back from their time downtown on Friday nights, they would have contests to see who could shave the thinnest layer of leather off the bottom of their boot.